But ultimately, it will be local people who will know and find and support the candidates we need. If it is a true revolutionary movement, it is done philosophically. We have to know what we believe in. This is why you have seen other candidates over the last several decades. They've been independent, and they've been independent within the parties, and you had Ross Perot movements and all. But you know, when they're gone, it's the individual, either because they were a well-known celebrity or had some money. But this is different. Although I recognize the important role that I play, it really is less important than what the views are that brings us together. And one individual has no monopoly over those, because I was not the celebrity that others were, and I was not a billionaire. But we have a billionaire idea, and the idea is liberty, and we're starved for it.
Yeah, Paul!
We talk a lot about the revolution, and I like that, even though I can't claim author of that term, because it was started by a meetup group, and it spread around the country. And it's a great term, but it's certainly different than what some people think of as some revolution. It need not be a violent revolution, because it's an ideological revolution. And it's not like it's brand new. It's sort of the improvement on the original revolution. We can refine and improve and move forward with the ideas of the founding fathers. They gave us a less than perfect document, but when you look at it, it was a great document, and we would be so much better off if we would follow it. And yet, we now have this opportunity. Because we're in trouble, we're in financial trouble, the people are waking up, the government doesn't work, that now all we have to do is look to our traditions. And this is so much better than starting something totally brand new. So this does not mean that we have to be disruptive and that we have to, use any form of violence whatsoever. Ideas are much stronger. This whole idea of spreading American goodness around the world, I endorse that. I think it's great. I just don't endorse the idea that we spread our goodness through force, through guns.
Right.
I mean, that cancels out all our goodness. We should spread our goodness by setting an example here. If we're critical of other countries on how they practice and preach about civil liberties, the best thing we could do is clean up the mess we have here and make sure civil liberties are protected in this country. This means that we must have a restatement, a re-understanding, and reaffirmation of the Fourth Amendment. Privacy is something the founders wanted. They did not want our papers in our homes to be violated without proper search warrants. Today, the Fourth Amendment has so little meaning, and it is up to us now to reverse it. So much is what's happened since 9/11. We could start by repealing the Patriot Act. Getting rid of the secret courts, the secret prisons, get rid of the idea of torture, and making sure that we have the absolute protection of habeas corpus. You know, what they do in Washington is they try to stir up war fever in order for people to be frightened. Whether it's the frightening aspect of what came out of the Depression that says to the people, see what freedom does, it makes people poor, it causes inflations and depressions, not admitting that it's really due to the Federal Reserve and government regulations, all these other things. But that means that people are frightened they have to have safety nets, and everybody gets a safety net. The whole problem is they pretend they're going to give the safety net to the poor, and it ends up that the real safety net is for Wall Street and the rich. They're the ones who get bailed out. At the same time, you get the bills with high cost of living and a devaluation of your dollar. So we need to reaffirm this, and it is so important that we do this very soon, because I think time is coming short. I think we're on the verge of a financial crisis. Runaway inflation is a horror. It's a threat to personal liberties, and there's so many emergency powers on the books today. And there was not too long ago, a member of Congress wrote and tried to get information about the continuity of government plans that the administration has. Oh, they said that's top secret. You're not allowed to see that. I mean, not even the members of Congress know all the things that they do. And besides, even if we do have the law of the land, they ignore the Constitution. You write a law, it doesn't matter. What really matters is the integrity and the character of the people that we send to Washington. If we have the right people there, they're not going to avoid and disobey the laws. We shouldn't be permitting these signing statements and imposing the law that they choose and these executive orders that they write and write law and allow the administrative courts and the courts to legislate. We really are a lawless nation is where we are today, and that's why we're in so much trouble. And yet, at the same time, in spite of all those problems, the number of people today are starting to wake up, and I am a lot more optimistic than I was a year ago. I was very reluctant to do this. The issue that prompted me to say, yes, it's worth the effort to find out where the American people are, had to do with the war and the foreign policy, seeing that that is such an important issue. And I can tell you, I am very pleased because I think the results have been good. Because of what they do in Washington, and they do so often, is they paint you as an isolationist, you don't care, and if you don't support the policy, it means you don't support the troops. And I think that is nonsense. And the one proving statistic that we have to verify that it's nonsense is when you look at the donations to all the candidates, Republicans and Democrats, we find out that our campaign got more donations than all the rest from active military personnel. Been thought that if you're opposed to the war and against this militarism, that means you have to be some left-winger, unpatriotic, and you're not pro-American. The truth is, you can be conservative, you can be libertarian, a constitutionalist, and very pro-American and very patriotic, and go back to the simple statement of saying we shouldn't go to war unless there's a declaration. We should obey the Constitution. The advantage of that, of course, is that if you have a declaration of war, means the people are behind it, the Congress is behind it, you know who the enemy is, you know who you declare the war against, and you know the end point. Since World War II, we have never declared the war because in some ways I think those who want these types of political wars and fighting under the UN banner and all these things, they want these to go on forever and ever, and there's no end point. And this to me is so dangerous because we live in the age of fear, because under the conditions of war, we're supposed to be willing to give up our liberties. I am convinced, whether it's civil liberties at homes or what we do overseas, that it is never necessary, never, ever necessary to give up any freedom for the sake of security. You know, we complain a lot about the oppressive government. But you know, even local government can get oppressive, state government can get oppressive, but we certainly, under the Constitution, deal with the size and scope of what the federal government ought to be. But we have another concern too, because we have super government. We have people who really want world government. Yeah. So this is the reason I take clear position on the internationalist approach to world government. And also the reason I have 1149, which says we don't even need to be in the United Nations. I do not believe it serves our people. And we don't need a North American Union, and we don't need